that Israel is putting is not just on Hezbollah, but also on the government to force the disarming of Hezbollah. But how does that help the Lebanese state? Is it for the best interest of Lebanon, or is it political actors within Lebanon trying to use that as well to muscle other opponents like Hezbollah and Amal and the other groups you mentioned? But why Hezbollah? Like you said, there are other groups and factions within the state. Is it because of the ideology? Is it because of the links to Iran? Why Hezbollah? And is it in the best interest of the Lebanese state?
Well, the thing is, so long that you have an occupation that continues to threaten you and openly says that it wants all of the Lebanese territories as part of Greater Israel, it's never in the Lebanese government's or state's basically interest to disarm its resistance on the ground. You need what you call a backbone that supports the army at any point, because the Lebanese army is very weak in terms of, it's poor, not weak, it's poor in terms of strategic arms. It's not allowed to have strategic arms. And that's by an international decision that was made by the Americans, the French, the Germans, and the British, who, whenever the Lebanese army at any point would acquire something that's strategic, they would ban it from actually acquiring it. I'll give you an example. In 2009, the Russians actually offered Lebanon 10 brand new fighter jets for free as an offer, with 5 years maintenance for free and training. If we had those fighter jets, it would have changed part of the narrative, because we would our pilots are one of the top pilots in the world. They go and train in the US, they train everywhere, and they come in first in terms of all the pilots who go around basically to the US or other countries and train over there. So we don't have fighter jets. What we have is like basically 8 Super Tucano I'm going to call them birds because they're very peaceful. They can only engage at a certain distance and at a very, very, what you call low speed. They are no match to the F-16s, F-18s, F-35s at any point. And basically, they don't have all the strategic missiles that are supposed to be mounted on them because the Americans don't allow us. So at the end of the day, we don't have an air force. We have few helicopters from the Soviet Union era, very, very old ones. And that's it. So when you look at the whole situation, we don't have an air force. We don't have air defense systems. We don't have what you call long-range missiles or medium-range missiles at any point. What we have is short-range missiles. So the army is trained in Lebanon to fight street fights or guerrilla warfare. And this is its strength. It doesn't fight like a traditional army. So it can easily take out the Israelis if they invade Lebanon. But the problem is with the strategic weapons, the Israelis are advanced technologically. They have the best technology in the world because 57 states and the NATO states give them that technology. They have all the weapons and strategic weapons in the world. And they know that if the Lebanese army gets this kind of armament, it will beat them. So that's why the Israelis had pressured the international community to ban the Lebanese army from having strategic weapons. Whereas Hezbollah, for example, it has long-range missiles. I know from 2006, when I covered the Israeli aggression on Lebanon back in July 2006 and July and August, I remember very clearly that Hezbollah had what you call the 400-kilometer range missiles. And they had basically medium-range missiles as well. So they could easily reach what you call beyond Tel Aviv and beyond Haifa, all the way down to, for example, Eilat, Rashrash, to the southernmost part of the Israeli entity, and even beyond. And remember, during the beginning of this war on Lebanon in 2023, the Cypriots were giving what you call aid to the Israelis, and Hezbollah and the Lebanese resistance threatened Cyprus. If you continue to support the Israelis, we're going to target you and any entity that supports the Israelis. And that's when the Cypriots actually backed off, because they know that Hezbollah has this kind of missiles that can actually reach Cyprus. I believe it was the Cypriot president who came out and said, we're not taking part in this war and we're neutral. Having said that, the Israelis want to disarm Hezbollah and the Americans want to disarm Hezbollah to safeguard the Israeli occupation in terms of the next invasion of Lebanon. Remember, the Israelis have invaded Lebanon 3 times in the past. The first time was the 1967 war, which Lebanon had no hand in it. And people claim that basically, no, Lebanon was part of the Arab states attacking Israel. No, Israel had a fight with 3 Arab states, Syria, Egypt, and Jordan. And Miko Pelet's own father, who he was a general in the Israeli army, he said Lebanon had no hand in this war, but we attacked it because they wanted to take parts of South Lebanon. The second invasion happened in 1978, after which the international community established UNIFIL, United Nations Interim Forces in South Lebanon, which were
Yeah.
supposed to be what you call a buffer zone between us and the Israelis, but they stayed inside Lebanese territories rather than the Israeli side or the occupied Palestinian side. And there's always friction between them and the civilians, depending on how they act on the ground. And in 1982, again, the Israelis invaded Lebanon, despite the fact that the US had given assurances to Lebanon 4 months beforehand through its envoy at that time, Philip Habib, that the Israelis are not going to invade Lebanon. 4 months later, the Israelis invaded Lebanon, and that was in June 2000 and June 1982. So with this kind of history repeating itself with this enemy, disarming the resistance becomes something that's stupid and not strategic enough. The army understands that very well. There is somebody inside the government who belongs to the right-wing groups who is trying to push along with the Americans and the Israelis towards the disarmament of the resistance. I think it's going to take time. It will cause some friction, but I have assurances within the army and the resistance that there's not going to be any pitting of one against the other. So even if the government tries to actually pit the army versus the resistance, it's not going to happen.